Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I kind of have like a quick update regarding not only my job, but I kind of wanted to discuss the whole topic surrounding poltergeist. So if you don't know what poltergeist are, so it's basically spirits or entities, or it could be a manifestation of energy that causes items within our physical realm to move. So a lot of people believe that it could be done by spirits trying to connect with us. So they'll the cliche is in the movies you see them throwing plates, shifting beds, things like that. But it could be something as simple as, moving your books or putting your clothes in a different area than where you left them. That could be like regular poltergeist activity. Or it could also be a manifestation of certain energies. So what I've also heard is if you're very angry, things will tend to fall around you. A lot of things will break around you because that energy is so strong that it manifests in our physical realm. So I believe in both basically, but what I kind of want to talk about is the possibility of, not only my job being haunted, which we know for a fact, but the possibility of a poltergeist being present. So I had just updated you guys after my hiatus, which again, I severely apologize. I lost my bunny, my very beloved bunny this past year, so that was very hard. I lost some family members, and this past month, my boyfriend was stationed overseas and he was living with my family and I until then. So I was just kind of riding my own wave, but now I'm back, okay? Sorry for that little tangent, but just I want to keep you guys updated because, going away for a year was really sucky, but I'm glad to be back. However, before my bunny died, I had flown out to Minot, North Dakota to visit my boyfriend, and I stayed with him for about 2 weeks, and we spent amazing time together. We went to Minneapolis, we went on a little road trip, and we stayed at the cutest Airbnb, but before we left, I kept feeling uneasy. Don't know how to describe it, but I had seen a very troubling figure in my house before I left to the airport to fly to Minot to my boyfriend. So I was already kind of uneasy, but I decided to ignore it. And if you guys would like to hear the story about that figure I was seeing, let me know. I don't really like remembering it, but it'll all make sense. So I'll probably do that in another story time. However, the night before I was flying back home to Vegas, my boyfriend was helping me pack. And I was on the floor and he was on his bed, and I had the suitcase out in front of me and I was folding my socks and my shirts. And he was talking to me and we were feeling uneasy because we knew we were going to be apart, but I was just not in a good mood at all. And we're talking and I'm kind of looking up at him and folding my clothes when a sock to the left of me flipped. I know things could fall on their own, but this was flipped as if someone grabbed it and flipped it, if that makes sense. And I saw that and I just froze up. I felt my body get tense, and my boyfriend is a very, very, very scientific, very realistic, I hate saying that, but he's very scientific and realistic, and he likes to explain things. And I stayed quiet due to the possible apprehension or nervousness around having to explain that had to be paranormal. But my boyfriend cut the silence by saying, "Did you just see that sock?" And I felt a sudden wave of relief because I felt like, okay, he saw that too. And I said to him, "Honey, yeah, I legit saw that. What the heck was that?" And I started kind of freaking out because up until then, I was feeling really weird in his apartment. I had a whole day by myself in his apartment, and he lives in a very old part of his town, and it's in the middle of nowhere because he was stationed there, and so he had his own apartment downtown, and the building itself was a very old building. And when I tell you I walked in and immediately I sensed death, he was like, "Yeah, a lot of deaths have kind of happened here. It's, known for housing the elderly, but people could also rent out apartments too if they're not elderly." So I was just feeling uneasy, and I was home alone for hours on end because he had to be on base for something. So I was just, you know, with that, and then on top of leaving, I didn't want to leave him. So it was just a whole bunch of things. And I told him, like, please don't tell me that that wasn't anything, because I saw that sock move, and I've been telling you I've been feeling off. Things are off. I don't know if it's, you know, because I'm sad, but things are weird. And I had told him what I had seen before I left Vegas. And he told me, like, honey, I had to go pick up the laundry downstairs, but if you'd like, you can come with me. And I wanted to be defiant. So I told him, no, although we both saw that sock flip like out of nowhere, I want to be alone. I'm tough, I can handle this. And I was kind of like hoping to see what that was, if it was like a little playful spirit, because I didn't feel anything bad from it, but I just knew something was off. So he went to go get his laundry. He came back right away, and when he entered the door with his laundry basket, he was like, honey, I think that might have been a manifestation of your emotions, because you've been very sad, and quite clearly you don't want to go home, and I don't want you to go home, but maybe it's not the stereotypical haunting, but maybe it's your emotions, like a manifestation of your emotions, because that energy is very strong. I agreed. I genuinely think that he was onto something right there. But that night, I could not sleep for the life of me. I felt uneasy, I kept tossing and turning, and I never really have trouble sleeping, so I thought that that was very bizarre. And of course, when I was flying home, I had a layover in Colorado, and while I was on the plane, my bunny had died, unbeknownst to me. So that was a roller coaster all in its own. If you want to hear some paranormal activity that occurred after my bunny passed, let me know as well, because some weird things happened after he died, and I wasn't the only one who witnessed it, so that's relieving. But in true Cornelius fashion, that is exactly how he would want to be sensed, because my bunny was very, he took up all the space and energy in a room. He wanted all attention on him. But I come home, had to deal with the loss of my bunny, and I always think about that sock. How did that happen? That was so bizarre. But again, I feel like that energy was maybe a manifestation of my emotions, as well as kind of a warning that my bunny was gonna pass, and that's probably why I couldn't sleep. Another thing that happened that is essentially an update to my haunted job is we have these cards that you put them on a scanner, and that's what unlocks the door. And we each have one assigned to us, and we keep these cards on our persons all the time. And if we lose them, it's like a big thing. Like, they had to get new locks, they had to change everything, you know, just in case it gets in the wrong hands. So I walk into my job yesterday, and it's the morning, everyone just got there, and my coworker, let's name her Nellie. Nellie is in her office and the door's locked, but there's windows so we can see in there, and she looks a little troubled. And so my boss and Evelyn are kind of talking, making not a ruckus, but there's something obvious that occurred, right? And Evelyn goes, who do you think did it? Unbeknownst to me, I just walked in. You know, I have my matcha in my hand, and I'm like, what's going on? And they're like, oh, someone was like in the office. And my boss was puzzled, because she was there up until 7:30 p.m. the night before, and she thought that she was the last one. And we were like, no, it can't be the custodians. We know the custodians, and the custodians are so nice and loving to us, and we've met them before, and it can't be them. We only know the two custodians that there are. And no one else saw anything. And I'm puzzled, and I'm like, what happened? Like, what are you guys talking about? So apparently what had happened was Nellie's office was rummaged through. So she walked into her office, the trash can was put on top of her desk. Weird, right? And she thought, what's this? Like, didn't the custodians just come by and clean everything. Like, that's bizarre. And she has a few children, and of course, as any mother would, she puts their drawings on her office walls. They had all been like taken down, and they were like flipped in the most random places in her office. And along her desk was this weird white powdery substance, like along the perimeter of her desk. It was so bizarre. And we didn't know what it was. It didn't really look like salt. It looked more like powdered sugar. And we were thinking, is that a roach poison? Like, what exactly is that? So we're all trying to get down to the bottom of this mystery, and we can't really think of anything logically. And then we found like a random key card, and all of us had our key cards, so we had no idea whose it was. So we had to go to another coworker, and he's gonna go and see who was the last person that scanned entry. So Evelyn and I right away were like, what if it's the ghost? Like, just what if it's the ghost? Because that is very bizarre and very troubling and upsetting. But nothing was stolen. Everything was accounted for. Nothing was stolen. We also think, like, a theory we have is that maybe someone was having a medical episode and they needed to get some like medicine or something, but we don't know. Like, that's so bizarre. Nothing was stolen. So maybe it was our mischievous little girl ghost. Who knows? Nothing is impossible. So until then, it's a mystery. And I'd like to think that maybe it was a little girl ghost, but who knows? We haven't seen her in our specific building, thank the Lord, because if I was at my computer and I look up and I see a little blonde girl in a dress from like the 60s or 50s walk by, I already saw something similar to that before I left to Minot. So if you guys want to hear that story, please let me know, because I'd be willing to share that. However, that is my quick little poltergeist update. So from moving a sock and flipping it to possibly putting a trash can on top of a desk and moving a bunch of things in somebody's office, I do believe in poltergeist. I have witnessed things before moving on their own, and I'm not the only one that has experienced poltergeist. So if you have any poltergeist stories and you would like me to share them, you can send me a direct message on Instagram, or you can even comment them down below. I'd love to read I love reading your comments and messages, and give me permission if you would like them to be read as well and shared, because I feel like we all have similar stories and we can all learn from each other. Being in this flesh meaty body is so bizarre, because you realize that you literally are a spirit just walking around with this little capsule attached to us. So when other things happen to other people that we thought was impossible, it's kind of comforting to hear.